do the live thing again this time because I kind of like this format. Uh, I hope I'm doing it right. If I mess something up, I'll redo the video. But I like this because I'm able to move the mouse and kind of point you to what I'm talking about specifically, and so hopefully this one goes okay. But anyway, I just wanted to put a quick video together talking about the I guess the participants, the goals, and some tips for this upcoming solstice event. We've been experimenting lately with different methods of sundials to make sure we had accurate means for verifying this solar event. But we also have some interesting goals for this upcoming, some questions we'd like to have answered, and we have some people around the world who are going to be helping us do that. And I would just like to encourage you, if if you are collecting uh, data like this, please get in touch with me. My email is in the description below this video, and I will get you added to this list so we can kind of all work together and share data to try and answer some big questions. But I think I'm going to have to change the format of this at some point, but I just had to start somewhere. So this is what we're looking at right now. The so if this is the format of information I'd like to present. I sent out a lot of email requests for other truth seekers to get involved with this, so we'll see if I hear from them, and this list may grow, but for now we have about 5 or 6 people across the earth that are going to help with this effort. And the way this works is I've got the map idea over here on the left, A, B, C, D, E, and these letters correspond with the locations these individuals are located at. There's also an approximate location listed in this column, and if you want to contact them directly with questions relating to their data or anything they did or their area, feel free to contact them. I've all asked them. And they've given their permission to share that information, and they're okay with you contacting them with questions. So, yeah, let me know if you're on this list already, if there's anything you'd like me to add, like if you were able to confirm the spring equinox, let me know that, or if there's any suggestions you have for other useful information you'd like to see, let me know, and we can try and figure out a way to add it, or maybe just a better format for doing this. But this is really cool. We have a pretty good amount in the USA. We have one individual in Spain and in Australia. It'd be great if we could find some people in this area, India or Eastern Africa, in this area, Greenland, or what is this, Eastern Brazil, and maybe up in Alaska. That would be cool, or maybe up here. But anyway, this is a pretty good spread of people. I'm fairly confident we're going to have another person contributing data from Jerusalem area. So the goals we're trying to answer that I'm aware of, and maybe other people will have other suggestions or things they'd like to try and figure out from this upcoming solar event. But the thing about this upcoming solar event is, maybe I should go to a picture here. There are lots of different sundial methods and things you can do to kind of measure what's going to happen here. But to try and explain it in a nutshell, if you pick, I'm just going to talk about one sundial method, but there are many different methods out there. If you're more experienced with another method, feel free to use that method, but I'm going to just suggest one here. And this method is, I guess you could call it the line method. And what it is you simply you need to pick an object that has a nice, that's going to cast a nice shadow, and you have to pick a consistent point of that shadow. And over the course of a day, you just, if the sun, I guess, this is actually confusing, north. So east would be over here. So if the sun is starting over here and it's moving across the sky like this over the course of the day, then when the sun's over here, if you have your sundial object here, the sun is going to cast a shadow that's going to land down here at the beginning of the day. And over the course of the day, as the sun moves this way, your shadow will move the opposite way. And you just record points at different times of the day. And the more points you collect, the better, so you can have something to compare to the next day in case you have, you're able to get this arc, this data set well on the first day, but then maybe you have clouds for half the day on this day, like all the way up to here or something. And so it'd be good if you still had all these points down here. If you had a little bit of sunshine here, you could compare. But essentially, I recommend you checking out some of the YouTube videos I've posted lately about tall sundials. They have the similar name to the title of this YouTube video, part 1, part 2, part 3. But again, you can use any method you want. You could use a short sundial in the window of your home or office, or if you want very, very clear, unquestionably good data, which is something I've really wanted. I've been a little frustrated with these shorter sundials that have give you such a small difference from day to day, and it's like hard to tell really which what's what. But a good rule of thumb is if you're able to find a taller sundial, like a cell phone tower or the corner of a high-rise building in the city, or maybe there's a rock structure or a mountain or something that casts a good shadow that you can trace over the course of the day. The good rule of thumb I found, this is a very conservative number, I think, but it looks like you might get approximately 1 foot of movement for every 100 foot tall your object is that you're recording data from. Anyway, the thing we're looking for is, maybe some of you are familiar with the straight line pattern. That is in theory what you will see on the Equinox, and it seemed we had a bunch of people confirming the straight line pattern on the Equinox this year. So from the Equinox, I guess the sun starts to move more north, which would be this way. And so this is kind of a confusing diagram, because I guess the object casting the shadow would actually be above all of these points. So if you had a flagpole or a tower or something, your tower would be located over here or something, and the sun would be even higher than that, and it would cast the shadow over that object, and it would create these 3 different patterns. Anyway, I think I might have been saying it backwards, but I guess the sun is actually the shadow. The sun itself is going to hit its most northern position on the summer solstice. It's heading north, and it's going to hit its most northern position. The shadow is actually going to hit its most southern position because it's kind of backwards. And so essentially what we're looking at as we get close to the solstice, if you start to collect data, you're going to see a curve like this if you use this method. And the curve pattern is going to be, I think it's going to be getting sharper, more curved. Like, so if you imagine it was a straight line here, and then somewhere between here it got gradually more curvy, and even more curvy, and on the solstice it will get its, 2 things will happen. It will reach its most extreme curve, and all these points of this pattern will reach its most extreme southern position, and this whole pattern is going to reach its most extreme southern position. And then we're not exactly sure what's going to happen at that point. If it's going to camp out there, and maybe the sun is going to go in the exact same track for a day, so the data that you collect is going to be the same back for a day or 2 or 3 possibly. Or it might be that the sun hits the extreme point and returns. I haven't seen anyone yet answer that question, so I'm really excited to see what happens this year. That's going to be an interesting question to answer. But I mean, that in a nutshell, that is that's what you need to do. You need to find yourself. I recommend, doesn't have to be, but if you can, find the tallest object you can, trace a shadow off of, and collect a few points during the day that you can compare to the next day, and at some point you'll see what happens. These points, this pattern is going to reach an extreme location, and it's going to either start to return the next day, or it's going to hang out there for one more day or something. We're going to figure out. That's one of the things we're going to figure out. And I've got a lot of different tips, but it's so spread out. This is really something I just recommend you just kind of dive into, and you will kind of just get better and better at it the more you do it, and you'll find what works for you. But if you have any questions or you'd like any more guidance, just shoot me an email. My email is in the description below this video, and I will try to coach you through what you need to do. So the big questions we'd like to try to answer for this upcoming solar event is the duration of the solar year. This method, well, this time, the solstice time, is just a good time to confirm. We have at least four opportunities to confirm what the solar year duration is. Every year we have four opportunities, and those are the four seasonal days: the spring equinox, fall equinox, summer solstice, and winter solstice. The sun does special things. There are signs on these days, and we have an opportunity to confirm them. So I have always, if you've seen any of my previous videos, you will notice that I do have reservations and concerns about the equinox. The straight line method, it seems to be working, but something that I just see would be a very clear confirmation would be to be able to confirm the solar year cycle based off of these solstice events, because there's no question about maps and geometry, flat Earth versus round Earth. None of that really comes into play at all for a solstice event. Like, I don't think it does. Like, everyone is going to see the sun hit that extreme location, and it doesn't matter, if it's just a lot simpler, and I think there's less questions involved with using that marker, as opposed to trying to go off of a specific angle during the equinox or a specific line pattern. It may be so, but I would just like to see the solar year at some point confirmed from solstice to solstice event, just to make sure, because I think those are clearer signs. I mean, just considering all the lies that are potentially floating around out there, it's just another witness I'd like to see at some point. The other two interesting questions we'd like to answer is where time begins and what is the duration of a sign day. So you've got to realize, I put out another video where I was putting some food for thought out there. This thing is in my way. I can't click on my tabs. Okay. Sorry about that. Where are we? I put this put some thoughts out there regarding how time works. And, you've got to realize, especially when we're talking about these signs that the sun gives, like if you want to call it the straight line pattern, or if you want to say the sun hits its extreme location, like let's take the straight line pattern. If that sign is theoretically supposed to work for everyone on Earth, and everyone on Earth is going to have an opportunity to see the straight line pattern, then that pattern is going to have to start somewhere. Let me see if I can. This is kind of a pain, but like I said, these patterns are always progressing, and so when it gets close to this middle line here, it's gonna be curved the day before and curved the day after. That's interesting. Sorry, I was just having some thoughts. And The thing is, it seems from sunrise to sunset, people around the earth have been able to see this straight line. So it almost seems in theory like this straight line pattern holds true. It's truly a sign that everyone on earth has an opportunity to see it, it seems. And so if that's the case, then you have to realize that the sun needs to kind of lock itself in a specific place for that to happen for a period of time that is longer than 24 hours. Because as I mentioned in my other video, like you've got a, for this person located right here, you know, say the sun rose and they watched the sunrise and the sunset and they had nighttime and then the sun began to rise again. So this is their day cycle. But for the person who lives right here, they haven't seen the day cycle yet. The person right here is waiting for the day cycle to begin. So by the time this first day ticks away on a continuous clock, right about when the sun gets here, this person in Australia or wherever is starting to see their day one, and then they see sunrise and they see the 9 parts day and the 9 parts night. And so you know, a sign, if there is to be a sign that everyone on earth can see, then this person, time, so the one question is, where does time begin? And I think we're going to be able to answer that question if we network with our brother and sister truth seekers around the world, because somebody at some point is going to be the first one to be able to properly identify and say, I'm seeing the straight line pattern, or I'm seeing the shadow has hit its extreme and started to return. Somebody on Earth is going to be the first person to see that, and it isn't going to be based off of the international dateline. This thing is man-made, and it's just fake. You can tell, like, by the shape of it, this is just for convenience. I mean, I understand its practical purpose, but it does not match Creator's time. And so time does start somewhere. There is a point where it's going to start. And once it runs, you need a 48-hour period before everyone on Earth is going to see the cycle of day and night. Like, this person hasn't seen day and night until this person has seen day and night. But as far as the sign day is concerned, I've made another map that kind of shows that, hopefully a little more clear. And again, keep in mind, if everyone on Earth is to be given the opportunity to see the sign, such as the straight line pattern, or, you know, the sun hitting its extreme position and returning, the straight line pattern, for example, is an all-day event. It is from morning to evening. Like, you're gonna get if you collected data all day, it seems you're gonna get a straight line from the morning to the evening. So this person here is gonna need it from morning to evening. But then it gets dark for this person up here. Like, that's the cycle they see. But you gotta realize that this darkness is just from this person's perspective. These people are now getting sunlight. Forget that it's curved, but you got to realize the sun is, you know, just continuously creating day for people. And it's going to get this point, and this is the people at the tail end of where time began in theory. And it's going to now progress for another period of time where the sun is up, and then you're going to have darkness, and that's going to be the end of the cycle. My point is, this duration of a sign day is an interesting thing that I think might potentially, some of these things might have potential to explain what's going on in Enoch with what he's saying about 364. I don't know, it could. But you've got to realize, like I said, for everyone on Earth to be able to see the sign, which is what it seems has happened, you're going to need from sunrise, where time begins, to sunset, where time ends. So you're going to need the sun from here to here to yield a straight line pattern, because realize this person right here is going to he's going to collect his data, and the sun rises over here for him. So this might not be drawn completely to scale, but he will collect data as soon as the sun comes from here to here. And but then this, and everyone's going to be like that too. And then this guy, it's the same thing. He's going to need to collect data from the time he sees the sun rise till he sees the sun set. And already somewhere around here, or maybe all the way over here, depending on how far in the twilight it might, or the evening that might go. I mean, it already clearly, at least out to here, we are beyond 24 hours. It is beyond 24 hours that this sign day has to occur for everyone on Earth to be able to see the sign, if that's the way it works. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but like I said, from this past spring, it was interesting that Enzo in Australia, I believe he ended up seeing the spring equinox on the Gregorian date, the 21st. So the Gregorian date, I think the 22nd would have been day one for him. But the interesting thing is, these dates look different only because of time zones and the location of the international date line. But truly, he saw the sign of the spring equinox. He saw the straight line pattern within the same 24-hour period that people in the US saw it. And I forgot which way that works. But you got to think about this. So he saw the day after. So, I mean, the way the international date line is, it starts the new day here. But he was still included. So, in theory, you should imagine to toss that date line or the starting of timeline west of his location. So it should be somewhere around here, because he is seeing the same daytime sign that the people over here saw. Like the sun progressed, and then it came here and it ran its course for him. So the sun ran all the way over to here somewhere and gave him a straight line pattern. So it's looking potentially, I'm thinking there's potential that time may actually start, literally may start somewhere around Jerusalem or the Garden of Eden. There's the possibility it may actually shift every year too. If you've seen my videos where time begins, it looks like that's what different software are programmed for. It shifts every year a little bit, and that kind of accounts for the extra 0.25 days or whatever. But anyway, so this is I just wanted to, this is longer than I wanted it to be, but I hope it's of some benefit to somebody out there, and I will be updating this list as I hear from more people, and I'll be updating this map, and maybe I'll figure out a better way to make this interactive. Maybe add like commentary or something out here, but just wanted to put that out there ASAP, because we do only have approximately 2 weeks. I think Google is saying the summer solstice event is to occur on the 20th of June, I believe. When is oh, I gotta figure out how this thing works. So that only gives us like a couple weeks so to prepare. So I'm just trying to put this video out there in advance as much as possible, and so people can have time to prepare and join this effort, and we can answer some interesting questions here, hopefully. So shalom, and may Allah bless as you continually seek out His truth and love with a pure heart.